be leaders ourselves.
Black women are being used by the Democrat Party.
All of these socioeconomic indicators are in the negative, particularly for Black people. They want mob rule. When Trump was in office, please somebody tell me, what act of dictatorship did he perform?
She had Donald Trump's hair on top of her head. And she's sitting here talking about brown girl this, brown girl that.
Because she's a Black woman.
They would ask her how to spell her first name and clap like sea monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
What's up, everybody? It is Saturday. This is our Saturday Night Live, and it's time for Pop and Politics. I'm KJ. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. All right, we have Nicole Bennett. Yana is back tonight. Yana is with us. And Shelly E. All right. Before we dive in, do me a favor, hit that like button. We need those likes up on this broadcast. We are going to go through a lot of hot topics, big issues tonight, and we want it to get out to the mainstream, out to the masses. And when you hit the like button, it does help to increase our reach on YouTube. So hit the like button. Again, we are here on YouTube. We're also on Rumble. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. We love our chat. We shout out all of our super chats throughout the evening, and it's the best way to get your voice heard and also to show your support for conservative content. Folks, this is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that value freedom. Subscribe. That way we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, ladies, let's set it off. How's everybody doing tonight before we get into it?
Good.
Good. It's cold. It's
Yeah.
still really cold here.
Yeah, I have an announcement. Yeah.
You're pregnant.
We are 9 days away
Oh.
Yes.
from making America great again.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes, that's a good announcement.
That's a wonderful
That
announcement.
is. Yep. And when you're saying that because of the inauguration,
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we're all headed to the inauguration. We're going to be there on January 20th. But before we go to the big event at the Capitol, we're going to be in D.C. at the inaugural ball. Nicole, you want to share about that?
Yes, we are having the Legacy of Freedom Ball for the Black Conservative Federation. It is going to be a blast. We usually only have one party a year for BCF fundraising purposes, and this is it. I can't tell you the number of celebrities that are going to be in the house. There are going to be some special surprises, so much so that you're going to have to park on the street or find alternative parking because somebody said something about the Secret Service taking up some of the spots.
Wow.
So it's going to be amazing. There are no more VIP tickets left, but there are general admission tickets. Get your tickets, come out. All 5 of the Black elected Republicans are going to be there. They're on deck. Probably, I think all told, 15 or 20 congresspeople are planning to show up.
Wow.
It is going to be a blast. Don't miss it.
All right.
Get your tickets and be sure to put Pop and Politics or Nicole Bennett in the Who Sent You.
Hashtag us.
Yes.
You'll see us there. It's going to be crazy. We're going to have such a good time.
Indeed. All right. And before we get into tonight's topics, look at the merch, guys. You got to check out our merch. You can go to our website, popandpoliticslive.com and click on the shop button. Look at this cool shirt. Not black, not white, American. Don't let them divide us. And folks, that's what we're trying to do. We've been talking about this, for a while now. The left, Marxists, communists are trying to divide our country, and we cannot let them. And this shirt says it all. It's a great shirt, cute shirt, fits really well. I usually wear a medium. I got this in a small. So you can tell, if you want it a little looser, you can get, it's pretty true to size.
Sure.
So definitely check out our website. We have all kinds of merch on there. We have this in hoodies, in sweatshirts. We have our mugs.
Right here.
Yeah. So this is the mug saying the same thing. And then we have a
Pop in
Pop in
Politics.
Politics mug Shelly has. So this is a great way to support us also, and we certainly appreciate it.
All right.
All
Nice
right.
cold cup of liberal tea.
Yes. All right. So I want to get into it. We are still talking about these California wildfires. So, as you guys have seen all over the news, the devastation of these wildfires. California is currently facing a severe wildfire crisis with multiple fires causing widespread devastation, particularly in the Los Angeles area. The Palisades fire, one of the most destructive, has burned approximately 38,000 acres, leading to the destruction of over 5,300 structures and resulting in at least 10 fatalities now. The evacuation zone for this fire has been expanded eastward towards Santa Monica, affecting over 153,000 residents. Take a look at this clip of a woman. I mean, she is just out of her mind in devastation about this. This is clip 1.
Governor, you got a second? Governor, I live here, Governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I
can't. It
don't
doesn't-
believe it.
I'm sorry. There's literally, I've tried 5 times. That's why I'm walking around to make the
Why
call.
is the president not taking your call?
Because it's not going through. So
Why?
I have to get cell service.
So
There's
let's
no
get
cell
it.
service.
Let's get it. I want to be here when you call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now. And it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there no
resources to deal with
water
this
in the
issue.
hydrants,
That's
Governor?
all that's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to
Right.
be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally, you know that.
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
I appreciate it. I'm going to make the call to address everything I can right now, including making sure people
I'd
are
like
safe.
to make sure you do. Can I have an opportunity to at least tell people you're doing what you're saying you're doing? Could somebody have a contact? Can I have your contact information?
Right there.
Wow. So you saw he lied. So he initially she said, he says, I'm literally, we all know what literally means, on the phone with the president. And then when she said, let me see, he can't get through. He's been trying 5 times. Shelly, that was crazy.
I'm not laughing at that woman, of course. I'm laughing because he took a play out of Kamala's playbook with the phone, pretending she was talking to somebody on whomever constituent. But this, to me, it just shows the arrogance, the indifference, the contempt. He doesn't give a damn that California is burning. What was the song many years ago? California Dreaming. Now California is burning. He's trying 5 times. The water over there. What is the president going to do? He doesn't even know where the hell he is when he is right wherever he is. He doesn't know that, right? He only came to California a few days ago to see his great grandchild. Never mind all of the people in California. A beautiful state, full of resources, wealth, not just the wealth from the Hollywood, just the wealth in the resources itself. They have destroyed it. Remember, progressive policies pulverize the people they purport to protect. This is absolute 100% living proof of it in real time. Gavin Newsome, or as Trump says, new scum, that's exactly what he is, a scum.
Yeah. Nicole, he lied. They lie so much it just rolls off of their tongue.
So, but here's the thing, that the big takeaway, of course, everybody's praying for California. We should still be praying for North Carolina that still hasn't gotten the resources that it needs to recover.
Hawaii.
Appropriately. We just had the Amish build, I think it was 12 tiny houses in 48 hours with their own money. in North Carolina to help the people there. But what the takeaway for me from this was, this woman asked tougher questions than the United States media has.
Yes.
She was not letting him get away. She was on top of him. And when it was clear to her that he was full of shit, she hit him harder. She was like, let me see.
Yeah.
Give me your contact information.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my assistant. And she's like, I want to hear you talk to him. My daughter, the people who live on this street. The problem is he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And I don't care how low down he drops his voice, how much of
Like
a whisper he speaks in. That doesn't help. Those whispers didn't put that fire out.
No.
Did not.
Yana, what are your thoughts here? I mean, she was hysterical and rightly so.
Absolutely.
And exactly when he mentioned, oh, I have kids too. Okay, well, your kids are not suffering right now in this devastation. So he has no empathy, no real empathy. It's like pretend. You can tell.
Absolutely.
And the fact that I've seen on TV, on the internet, some people were saying that, oh, it's not true that there aren't water in the hydrants. Like, no, it is true. There's no water in the hydrants.
Right.
And she just asked about it.
Right, exactly. And so we saw that was Governor Newsome, as Trump says, as Shelley pointed out, reacting to someone. And here we have, so of course, Mayor Bass, who is the newly elected mayor of Los Angeles, she was absent during this critical period and has led to significant public outcry with over 50,000 residents signing a petition demanding her immediate recall and a thorough investigation into the city's disaster preparedness and response. This is according to the New York Post. Here she is when she finally got off the plane to get back here from Ghana. A reporter actually caught her at the airport. This was before she spoke to anyone, before she did any press conferences. Take a look at her response here. This is clip 2.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
What's wrong with this woman?
You know, when you ignore someone, I know because I do it. When you ignore someone, it really shows that you don't, you just don't want to be bothered with them, right? Again, I do it. I ain't gonna lie, I do it. At least at that moment. But for a politician to do that, particularly in the midst of a natural disaster such as this, and it's natural, yes, but it has some contributory factors, political factors that aided in this widespread fire. But that bitch, okay, is literally, I don't know if she's worse than Newsome or if he's worse. They're kind of equal, but except for her, I would say she's a little bit worse. She's a little bit slightly more worse than he is because she is zero. She's saying zero. And it's showing her ever-loving contempt. Yeah. Like, you don't deserve my time. You don't deserve my response. You don't even deserve me to tell you something that just doesn't make sense. I'm going to ignore you as if you are not even there. Remember, I do it too. But I'm not a politician. I'm not a politician. But this is, I mean, it's almost like nails on a chalkboard. That's how ingratiating and angering it is.
So my question is, Nicole, is it that she just was contempted? She had contempt, or she didn't care, or she just lacks the thought and lacks what to say? She just doesn't know what to say.
Oh no, she has a lot to say. She has a lot to say. But from a political view, purely political view, anything she says is going to come back and bite her in her butt. She could have said, oh, I'm so sorry.
Right.
I went to represent the president in Ghana. to see their new president being sworn in, and it was a political thing, and I didn't want to say no to the president. But even that sounds like excuses when you knew it was going on, knowing doggone well that you cut the budget for the fire department, that they haven't done the underbrush cutting, getting rid of the snags like they're supposed to, and then you even proposed cutting more. So at anything she could have said, it would have been held against her, but she should have said something. She could have said something like, I am praying for my city. Now people would have jumped her and they're like, all you doing is praying, no matter what she says, but say something. But what ended up happening is her silence is deafening.
Yes.
Because that reporter just kept pounding her and pounding her and pounding her. And she's just like kind of standing there like he's not saying anything. At some point, I'm wondering, is she special needs? I mean, that she needed in sign language.
She
What's
looked
going
like
on
it
with
was.
you,
I mean, she looked like a deer in headlights. Yana, how do you think? Well, we know people are upset about her reaction. Do you think this will cause any change in people continuing to vote these leftists into office in California?
I hope so. I mean, the way her face was, she was like a face of the Democrat Party at that moment.
Yes.
Like, she had nothing to say. She was ignoring the questions of the public. The journalist represented the public in that instance. And she has a responsibility to respond. A politician has a responsibility to respond. She is not a private citizen at this point that she can just ignore difficult questions. She doesn't have that right.
Right.
Her responsibility is to respond. That's why she was elected, specifically for that. So she is the face of Democrat mismanagement, at least of that region or the entire country.
She can definitely be on a t-shirt that says, this is what leadership does not look like.
California burning with Karen Bassett's face on it.
Yes. And in the recall effort, let me tell you, it should not take more than a month to get her butt up out of that seat. The problem that they're going to have, though, is that they inherently just go to the next bad person, right? They're not open enough, and maybe losing their homes and their children having to be uprooted is enough for them to stop thinking about politics and in a way that is damaging to themselves. Because the governor, the mayor, all of their other electeds, nobody had answers for them. No one had answers.
One thing I am happy to see is somewhat the media is actually holding them to account. Now, not like they've held people on the right to account, but they are somewhat holding them to account. And I guess they have they can't
not do it,
because we can see visually that the literal state is on fire. But this is why it's important. We are important. Independent media like us, Poppin' Politics, are important. And thanks to people like you all, patriots who love America and stand for truth, we're making a difference. Together, we've turned them off, called out their lies and propaganda, and held them to account for their disdain for God-fearing, freedom-loving people, Americans like us. But we can't stop here. It's time to take action with our dollars. Let's make 2025 the year we double down on our commitment to values-driven choices. Vote with your dollars, support Made in America, back companies that honor our families, faith, and country. We found an exciting way to do this here, and we want you all to join us. We've made the switch. Check out www.popandswitch.com and click, yes, I want to make the switch. It's that easy. It's time to walk away from companies like BlackRock and Vanguard that undermine our principles. Let's invest in America. Let's support businesses that share our love for our country. So you don't have to take on everything at once, but you can start here with this small but substantial step. Join us in making this switch. You go to www.popandswitch.com, click the link, and schedule a call with our team so they can assist you in switching. Together, we can create real change. All right, so I want to continue on this. Speaking to power, truth to power, the fire chief and the fire department are pushing back on what these politicians in California. So during the recent wildfires, Mayor Karen Bass has been found totally inadequate. And here we have a clip of the fire chief, Kristin Crowley, pretty much throwing her under the bus and saying what really happened and caused this mismanagement. This is clip 4. Take a look.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service, and having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact. I want to also be clear that I have, over the last 3 years, been clear that the fire department needs help. We can no longer sustain where we are. We do not have enough firefighters. With that, I have also requested multiple budgets, interim budgets, to show how understaffed, under-resourced, and underfunded the LEFD is. So with that, also, we have clear data that shows the LEFD needs more help. We need 62 more fire stations. These reports also show that we've had a 55% increase in overall call volume since 2010. And guess what? We're doing it with less firefighters. I was also directed to develop a plan as part of a budget reduction exercise, and that could equate to $48.8 million. And I rang the bell that these additional cuts could be very, very devastating for our ability to provide public safety. That would have resulted to 15 fire stations closing down and potentially the elimination of over 300 firefighters. Again, I want to be clear that I submitted a very large budget that will actually allow our firefighters to do their job.
Wow. So she laid it all out on the line. And, statistics show, the data shows, I should say, that she's not lying. Before we begin on this, I want to acknowledge our super chatters here. Thank you all so much. We have Thunderball McGilcuddy with the $50 super chat. Wow.
Thank you.
The Sheba dog jumping in the air with fireworks around him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Absolutely.
wow. Yes. Thank you so much. All right. Laura with the $2 super chat says, where is Kamala or Biden? Exactly, Laura. Thank you guys so much. We certainly appreciate the super chats. Please keep those coming in. They help us in a great way to push this conservative content, and we appreciate your support. All right. So, Yana, what did you think of that?
Well, I'm glad that she's speaking on that. And there's so much mismanagement in that state. It's ridiculous. The whole cutting or not cutting the trees that needed to be cut in the forest. So that's like controlled cutting. They were not doing that because of some sort of environmental reason, because there was a mouse that they wanted to protect.
Oh, really? No.
Yes, the mouse.
The Delta smells fish.
Well, that's the fish. Yeah,
right.
The fish is the dams.
There was the mouse that needed more space to roam around in the forest, so they were not doing controlled cutting that prevents forest fires from jumping from one part of the forest to the other. Then the dams were removed because of the migratory fish and also because of the Native American lands. Somehow they needed that to be even, like, the Native Americans are hurting as well from these forest fires right now, or from the fires. Also, what wasn't mentioned is that in 2022, a surplus equipment from firefighting equipment from California was sent to the Ukraine.
Oh,
surplus, really? And now they don't have enough equipment, enough people. And so a lot of this reminds me of the Soviet Union in the late 80s, when it was total mismanagement and things were just falling apart. There was a disaster after disaster. There would be a fire, there would be an explosion on the power plant. It would be, people getting infected with devastating diseases because of anti-sanitary conditions in hospitals. So all of that, these communist policies, they create disasters.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening in California.
Yeah, we have another super chat here. Thank you all so much. We certainly appreciate you. All right, let's see who we have here. All right. I thought we had another super chat. Maybe not. Laura says from Laura. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, this is devastating. Before I get you all to chime in on this, I want to get through this next clip because I want to know, why is this happening? Why is all of this going on all of a sudden? I mean, we are not a developing country. This is not the Soviet Union in, what was it, 1980s. Yeah. I mean, so what's going on? This is Mel Gibson. He recently did an interview. He had a home in Malibu that was destroyed by the fires also, and he's on with Laura Ingraham, and check out what he has to say. This is clip 6.
That's something they have to live with. And but that's something that community has to live with. And it's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads, and kids, and they're traumatized. Someone should answer for it, but we'll see. I think we know who the culprits are. In fact, my son he's a member of the volunteer fire brigade. He sort of interfaces between LA County Fire and people, and they assist them where they can during, before, and after the blaze. And apparently the residents in Corral Canyon caught an arsonist up there, and the guy was all tooled up with fire gear and equipment and stuff like that and ready to go, and he had been lighting fires, but they corralled the guy in Corral Canyon and gave him to the police. So
yeah,
there are
apparently
people
that
actively going around looking for these conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, apparently, Mel, that individual was never charged. It's a very confusing set of facts because apparently he was reportedly trying to light things on fire, but it's not the fires, I guess, that they're. I mean, it all seems very bizarre, but they have not ruled out that arson could have started the first fire. There's obviously still investigating this, and at the same time, Mel, there are numerous complaints, as you alluded to, that the fire hydrants did not have water or water pressure, and the LA fire chief herself reacted. Watch this.
My stance on this is when a firefighter comes up to a hydrant, we expect there's going to be water. We don't control the water supply. Our firefighters are there to protect lives and property and to make sure that we're properly trained and equipped. That's my position on this. So if there's no water, I don't know how the water gets to the hydrants.
Okay. Yeah, this is concerning. Do we have another part of that clip? I wanted to play. I thought it was a little bit later. There's something he said in there that I want to cover. Let me see here. Well, maybe not. I have it. It was supposed to start at the 2:12 mark. Not sure. Okay.
That's something they have to live with, and but that's something that community has to live with. And it's really sad. I mean, I have many friends that are, looking for a place to put a roof over their heads, and kids, and they're.
Oh, sorry. All right. So there was another part I wanted you guys to hear, but he said that this may have been done intentionally.
Yeah, he did say that in the he said that there was
arsonists that they were investigating.
No, he said something else. But go.
Oh, yeah, that's what he was saying. The arsonist that was being investigated. Yeah. So, couple things. I want to go to the fire chief. While I support her and she's training her firefighters, I don't particularly buy the fact that she did not know that the fire hydrants would not have had water.
Exactly.
Now, I'm not blaming her, but I don't buy that she can just take her hands off and say that's not. Well, what the hell? If your firefighters are training, they have to train with fire hydrants with water in them. So if they're training and there's no water in them, then you would reasonably know that there was no water in the hydrants. So something about that part, I don't buy it. So I know that in times like this, everybody's looking to blame somebody. So I think that's part of what she's doing, maybe, in my never to be humble opinion. That's number one. Number two, according to openbudget.lacity.org, for 2025, the city of LA has a budget of just about a shy of $13 billion, right? That's enough for, I don't know how many small countries all across the world, Yana. A few small countries, right? Maybe even 1 billion. But I noticed something. One of their categories is other special purpose funds. This particular fund has $2.1 billion, about 17%, give or take, of the whole budget. That's the most. What is other special funds? What does that mean? You mean to tell me in other special funds you can't find out of almost $2.1 billion to replenish the fire hydrants? I mean, damn, there's a whole big ocean with water. You can't replenish the fire hydrants? I'm sure the Army Corps of Engineers is there. They know how to build dams and conduits to bring water into the aquifers to fill them up so that the fire hydrants can have water, and we can use that to help quell some of these fires being started or however they start. There's a whole lot of pieces in here. Granted, I still blame Newsome ultimately, but I'm not fully buying this fire chief and this budget. LA residents, Californians, you all need to know what the hell is going on in your state.
Well, I can tell you some of the money that they spent that special budget on was to make their fire trucks, quote unquote, gay, right? Yep. So they painted pride flags and sayings on there.
And the hydrants, too.
The hydrants, because, you know, when your house is on fire, you really want someone who looks like you to come and save you.
Really?
Really?
I don't
care.
To the tune of several $1 million. The thing that really galls me about this whole thing is, yes, the fire chief is understaffed. Yes, relatively under budgeted. But the part that's really burning my biscuits, y'all, is that they've got convicts, people from prison, working for like $1.50, putting out this fire. Now, granted, it is a life skill. You can, use it as a marketable skill to once you finish your time to go out and do other things. But when we think about the liability of someone getting burned, someone having, any kind of accident, these are people who are the wards of the state of California, even though they're in prison, right? So California has a responsibility to them, just like the mayor has a responsibility to her constituents, like the governor has a responsibility to his constituents, and the fire chief has a responsibility to know where the damn water is.
Yes.
That when she said that, and I know a lot of fire chiefs, believe it or not, Maryland has a robust system of volunteer firefighters and firehouses. These men and women leave their homes when there's a fire. They train really hard. They have controlled burns. Where I live, they have brush fires. So they actually work on what to do when a brush fire starts. But you can't put out a fire if you don't know where your resources are. You just can't.
I think this is much, much deeper. I think we've been talking about this for a while, how this plan is coming for 2030. The Olympics is coming to California specifically in 2028. But we know that the left and globalists are pushing, they're trying to transform the cities and many of the spaces within America. The total transformation like nothing that we've seen. And one thing, they're trying to turn a lot of these areas into renter nations. No longer will you own anything. You will rent everything. They're trying to get rid of gas-powered everything, from your furnace to your blower and everything in between, stove. They're trying to get rid of that. They are also doing something called C40 Cities Initiative. Please research this. So Los Angeles is part of the global C40 Cities Initiative. aimed at restructuring urban areas to address climate change in alignment with the UN goals. So this incorporates livable communities initiatives. A big place where this was going to be impacted is the Pacific Palisades. And so what better way would they have than to architect some type of massive event that would destroy pretty much this area? And what do they have to do now? Rebuild it. Now, we know that these areas are just overrun with bureaucracy and regulations. You know, there's stories of many people who had fires in the past were not able to rebuild their homes because the codes are so out of whack. So this would be a prime opportunity for these leftists to now put forward this transformative change. I think this is what this is. I think that they did this purposely. I don't know if it was arson, but I believe that they were set up with remove the water, because this isn't the first time we've seen fires in wildfires in California. They've removed the water. They've decreased the funding to the fire department. Also, the whole place would burn down, and now they can implement these transformative cities.
It makes sense, and it aligns with the fact that some people have seen someone coming in dressed as a firefighter and setting up fires. So it kind of aligns with that it's possible, and they want to build these 15-minute cities that will look completely different from what it looks like now. So people can walk to places. They don't need to use cars. So they want to eliminate this culture that we have in America where, you know, you have your property and you have your car and you can go anywhere. And now that's what they did in the Soviet Union too.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, they had this whole engineering, you know, in the 20th century. All the neighborhoods are built in the way that, okay, there's buildings facing each other, there's a playground, there's a store, there's a kindergarten, there's a school, and it's already been designed like that. It's a very common design that you are able to walk anywhere and you don't need to leave.
Well, look we know their game plan. They did the same thing with COVID. So we had this global pandemic that they created, and with that, they ushered in ballots, 30-day, 40-day mail-in voting. They changed the way many places here in Baltimore City no longer take cash. You can only pay with credit card. So we're so slowly moving towards this cashless environment. Again, this really took off during the lockdowns, and the virtual learning that took off during the lockdowns. Again, it all coincides to this idea of you don't have to leave your home. Everything stays put. This is what they are doing, and we need to get ready, because it sounds like the game plan is to create these types of events to then usher in all types of new programs.
Yeah, it makes sense, because we know that wherever there's a natural disaster or some kind of trauma to the earth, if you will, in our country, money follows. This big bubble of infrastructure, and the structure is never inferred. Okay, it's never done. It's never completed. It's almost never set up to benefit the people in those communities or states. So again, the money's going to follow, and we'll see. I mean, it makes sense. Well, I forget who wrote the book. You will own nothing and be happy.
Yeah. And look what they did to the insurance companies. Why would you do that? They made it so that insurance companies, it was not economical for them to even continue to cover fires in California. And it was done by the California government. That what they implemented some type of system where
almost like
property owners couldn't
So they had a balance, or not a balance, a ceiling, if you will, that price controls basically. That insurance companies couldn't charge more whatever the rates were. So they're going to leave. Now, it hurts the wealthy people, but it hurts the poor people much more because they don't have any extra cash like the wealthy people have millions of dollars in bank accounts around the world.
They can self-insure.
Other homes they can live in,
and other
for
homes
sure.
that they can go to.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not poo-pooing anyone, wealthy or not, but it hurts them. Stop voting against yourselves. Stop voting against your own interests. These people look good. Gavin Newsome has more hair mousse than we have up here combined, and we're women. Okay, stop voting for people just because they look a certain way or they sound good. Damn it. Look at your houses are literally burning. Your children's schools. I mean, you're losing your communities. Stop voting that way.
Yeah.
But the thing is that they're insidious with the Democrats. What they're going to say to the poor people is that, look, we're going to build these amazing communities that you don't need to leave, and everything is provided for you. You can get your electric vehicle, connected to the grid. But the thing is that way you are completely reliant on the system.
More
and
control.
They can turn it off anytime they want. In fact, on one of the previous shows, I talked about what's going on in Transnistria, which is part of Moldova. There aren't, thankfully it's not millions of people. I want to correct myself. It's about 600,000, but it's still a lot of people right now who are freezing in the winter because there is no gas supply, and they live in apartments where they rely on the government providing the heat. So the only people who are actually doing pretty well right now over there, who have private homes with burning, they have stoves, the wood stoves. Wood stoves.
Wood stoves.
They're not even reliant on the
power.
electricity.
Oh, got it.
So when you think about how I can rely on myself better, then you can survive disasters. But when you put all your trust into the government, and that's what they push the poor people in America, they push them into this mentality that we need to live in these cities where you're completely insulated by the system. And it doesn't work, because either they can turn it off or something horrible will happen and they won't be able to keep providing the services.
I mean, we saw that in North Carolina. When we talk about the media coverage that the California wildfires are getting, we didn't get any of that. What happened in North Carolina, and these people are still living in motels, hotels, that kind of thing. Some of them are living in tents. The wonderful thing that we're seeing, though, is that regular old Americans are coming to the rescue and saying, okay, the government, they need to get themselves together, but we have a social contract of which we pay a whole lot of money. A whole lot of money, 23%, right? On average, 23%. And they have absolutely failed us. Apparently, there were some fire departments who were sending apparatus from Oregon into California, and they were stopped because they first had to pass the emissions test in order to come to California. Can you imagine? 11 people so far have lost their lives. 11 people. More property damage than I can even fathom. And the people who are coming to help, no, stop. Let me make sure that you meet California emission standards.
That's crazy.
Before you come out.
That is
insane.
It's ridiculous. That is insane.
Absolutely crazy.
But I am not surprised. Folks, you better wake up. This is coming. They are trying to implement some type of new world order, transformative change. And if you don't wake up, we're going to wake up one day and it's going to be totally different. We're going to own nothing and enjoy it. Isn't that what you said?
That's what it is.
Right. Own nothing and enjoy it.
And be happy.
And another thing I want to point out before you move on is we see now that we're having all of these major catastrophes, these major events, one after one after one. As you mentioned, Nicole, they still have devastation in North Carolina. Here in Maui, remember the Maui fire? Yeah. The fire hydrants had no water. The same thing with when the blazes came, as the Los Angeles fire hydrants don't have any water. It's what's happening is after they're doing this, it seems like to see if the public is going to do any type of outcry.
Right.
Or if they don't, then they know, okay, we can duplicate this all over the country. We'll get a little bit of pushback, but not like anything that we probably should. And so then we just continue to push it until the whole country is transformed.
And that the scamdemic was
Again,
the test case.
Yes, it was.
Oh, yeah.
Scamdemic was the great test case. So now we're going to keep seeing these things. And again, there are other factors that contribute, but you better believe there is a huge political factor that is aiding and abetting these things to happen.
Oh, yeah. And so what I believe is, again, these are tests. These are tests. Little, we have little catastrophes. They're not little, but, all over the country. Seeing how much of an outcry, we're not really pushing back like we should, all leading up to some massive event. And so within that massive event, that's when they're going to create some type of savior. I believe it's going to be in sort of spiritual, some type of religious savior. But this savior is not going to be a Jesus, a Buddha, Muslim, whatever that person is. It's going to be some spiritual person that encompasses all of them to create one world religion, to try to unite everyone globally. So then we could bring in the real world order. I believe this is what's going on. Folks, you better wake up. This country began on revolution. We must stand up against it and continue to push back. If you don't, you will not have a country for the next generation, for your children and grandchildren. Wake up. I do want to acknowledge our super chatters here. Folks, thank you so much. This is why we do what we do. We're here to attack. This year in 2025, our message is to attack. We can no longer be responsive or reactive to these things going on. We have to get ahead of it and then push back against it. And so we thank you guys. All the super chats help us do this. With the $5 super chat, Cooler King 74. Thank you so much. Says Trudeau and Newsome are very similar.
Yes, they are.
I have family in Canada, and there has been tons of church fires. Wow. I didn't finish that one. Okay. And then the massive arson fires in Nova Scotia. Right. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Cooler King. All right.
Yeah, because when people are devastated, then they're looking for help.
Right.
And they're vulnerable. And then, like you said, they might bring someone who says, look, we have to stop fighting about our differences and let's unite under this one system that we have, and we'll have to pay into the system. We have to raise taxes because look, we didn't have enough money to support the infrastructure. So they can force people to be more, I guess, socialist. I mean, that's what I see.
I mean, but that's what Newsome did in the first place. That was his whole platform when he ran for governor, and when they tried to recall him again, if we all pull together, we can get this done. And to the American ear, maybe the American ear of maybe the 30s to the early 60s, that sounds like socialism. Kick rocks, right? To new wave Americans, the people who very rarely leave their homes. That sounds kind of, everybody should put a little in. I mean, it sounds like cooperation. The problem is we're seeing what happens when everybody puts a little bit in and you put all of your eggs in one basket and your basket has a hole in it. Your basket has a hole in it.
And someone else decides what to do with your money, like sending equipment to Ukraine.
Or stopping fire trucks when your whole damn county is burning because they don't meet your emission standards. Can I tell you, your air is horrible. It was horrible before the fire, right?
Los Angeles has how much smog? I mean,
let's not even go there. And then the firestorm online when one of the model girls, what's her name, Drea, was telling people about an air purifier.
I saw.
She was like, "Here's the air purifier." People are like, "How dare she?" Listen, people have to breathe, and the air was already bad, right? So you're going to stop the people who are coming to save life and save property because they don't meet your emission standards when your whole emission standards is crap. This is foolishness. There's definitely some eco-terrorism going on.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of firestorm, there was a firestorm surrounding former President Jimmy Carter's funeral recently. So he was honored with a state funeral at Washington National Cathedral on January 9th. The service was attended by many former presidents, President Joe Biden, all living former U.S. presidents, and numerous dignitaries. President Biden delivered a heartfelt eulogy highlighting Carter's integrity, faith, and lifelong commitment to public service. But that was not what has gotten all the buzz. The buzz has been around Trump and Obama apparently, or looked like Chuck, laughing and talking. Take a look at this. This is clip 7. Wow. So this got a lot of people upset. I want to get your thoughts first, Shelly, before we show you this next clip.
So I'm still laughing. I watched it without the sound, with the sound. I loved it. First, there was a couple of things. Trump, the way he was looking at Kamala, like, yeah, bitch, I'm sitting right here. Like, yeah. And what I think he told Obama was, they thought they had me, didn't they? That's what I think he told Obama. I thought it was hilarious. And you could see the body language and all those, the other former presidents and the vice presidents on the third row. I noticed that when Obama and I think the Bushes came in, they stood up. Trump didn't stand up. Trump was like, I ain't getting up and shaking y'all hands, but damn it, y'all can shake my hands out, but I'm not standing up. I love it. I was laughing. I'm still laughing.
Well, some people were not. Some people felt like Obama should not have been speaking to President Trump, and he shouldn't have been laughing. Take a look at this. This is clip 5.
I am very curious about what Donald Trump could have possibly said to make President Obama smile. I don't know if it was that was dumb smile, or if it was something that he was truly engaged by it. So you see that smile? See that smile? So I'm reading shady stuff into it, but I was.
Somebody give Barack Obama a Best Actor Oscar right now. Look, the guy is classy, and he's going to, and they're at a funeral, right?
So Nicole, what is it? What, they don't think people can laugh, and everybody knows that Trump is a character.
He is. He's a very funny man,
right,
and incredibly charming. But this is hitting them where it hurts.
Exactly.
They got walloped in the election. America is holding them to account for the things that they've said, right? And here's Hitler sitting next to their God, Barack Obama. Exactly. And God Barack is enjoying himself.
Oh, yes,
that wasn't a kind of laugh. I mean, he was full on enjoying that conversation. What's interesting, though, is how long will it take before they realize what he was saying to them, what they believed with their whole heart was just political rhetoric.
And that's
going to be devastating, because now, I mean, that's going to challenge their whole belief system. Do I really believe that Trump is Hitler? Well, why would God Barack be sitting next to Hitler having a good time? Why would George Bush be sitting there like, yeah, hey Hitler, how you doing?
They invited him too.
The icy cold, though, that was going on in that front row between Kamala and the first or second gentleman, my goodness, they don't even look like they know one another.
She was so wound up.
And when she swiped that neck around, I was like, her head ain't gonna stop. It's just gonna go all the way around. I've never really considered her culturally appropriate as a black woman, quote unquote, a black woman, except for in that moment. That moment, she was giving full on black girl. She was like, this nigga, God have mercy. But it was a really, really stunning thing to see Melania sitting there just going, oh, Donald, not today. Let's not be funny with folk today. Today's not the day. And these two presidents, this is a very exclusive club.
Right.
These are people who know all the secrets of quote unquote the universe. They should be able to share a couple of kind words without the liberal media losing their lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yana, what do you think there?
Because
they do the same
so
thing
much
with
happening.
Putin.
It's such a short clip, but there's so much
Mhm.
happening in that moment. So Obama, he's a charming person himself.
Yes.
He's a nice looking guy too.
And he's a slimy person. He will stay relevant no matter what
absolutely.
era.
Absolutely.
So that is what he's doing. He's like, I'm cool. I want to, I still want to be relevant because this is who I am. He has a lot of self-esteem and he knows how to, I guess, buddy with pretty much anyone.
Right.
And so, Kamala, she totally lost this whole thing. Like, she's a total loser. And she is sitting there, she's not even speaking, and it's uncomfortable to look at her.
Yeah.
Like, when she speaks, it's cringy and uncomfortable. She is just sitting there, and it's like, oh, I don't even want to look at her. She looks uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable.
She's awkward.
looking at
She's
her.
very awkward.
But what happened to the vibes?
I have to say,
What happened to the vibes?
Kamala is exhibiting typical female behavior. The guys are just like buddies.
Right.
Hey, whatever it was, like,
Yeah.
hey, what's up? Let's have a beer,
Yeah.
bro.
Like, it's
But
over.
the one question I have, and I haven't found an answer yet, I want to know what Michelle said to Obama when he got home.
Oh, you know that was a heated discussion.
When she saw that, I would
you
have
know that
loved
was
to have been a
heated.
fly on that wall.
Well, or when Michelle sees all the subtitles
Yeah.
about,
My question is,
her.
I want to know where the lip readers are.
Right.
Where are these
Yeah,
folks?
yeah.
Where are you when America needs you? We need to know what was being said and how he replied.
And I think Melania, she's just being her proper,
Mhm.
her proper
Absolutely.
self.
Right.
She's
We're-
holding it down.
We're at a funeral. We're not supposed to be laughing.
Right.
Yeah.
She's a proper Eastern European
Yes,
woman.
she does.
Mhm.
And she's like, you guys, you don't know how to behave properly. That was her look.
Yeah, yeah. It's, to me, I got out of it is Trump he's sitting there. He's the last man standing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you guys remember the primary in 2016, he wiped the floor with all of them
Yes, he
then,
did.
and he
Mhm.
came back now and he wiped the floor. He is the last man standing. And really, it was sort of like this it reminded me of like high school, where you see like, the guy that nobody like really likes, but he's still like the guy to like. That was kind of Trump. And then Obama is this kind of character where, he's the cool guy,
Everybody
and
likes the
people,
cool guy.
everybody likes him.
Popular.
Right, the popular
Yes.
guy. He doesn't really have to go to anybody. Everybody's coming to him. And then Kamala, she's sitting on the front row. She sort of reminds me of the whore that everybody has passed through.
She became irrelevant.
Yeah, and they knew they already had her. She's not really worth anything, but she's there.
Say this woman's
And-
run
and-
through.
And she's just there to people say, oh yeah, whatever. Remember her? We had
It was
it.
the last year's homecoming.
Yeah,
That's why she's still here.
Yeah.
It was, a small snippet of American history that I think America needed that chuckle, right? With all the things going on, I've seen some fairly funny memes about what people thought, the conversation was like, and the thought bubbles over top of the other people's heads of, oh my God, what are they talking about? I really, really like that they can get along.
Yeah,
that there's a level of cordialness.
Well, interestingly enough, on a bigger scale, outside of the funeral, of course, I think a lot of Americans, we forget that politicians, when they're not in front of the camera, they are hobnobbing with each other.
Yep, all the time.
I don't care what party, what issue, what bill they were disagreeing on, they hobnob together. So let's just be reminded that this was
it's rhetoric.
A different face.
Yes.
They have a different face in front of us, and then between each other.
Well, everybody has to pander a little bit to their base, right? It's just rhetoric. The truth of the matter is, you often see people working together behind the scenes to make things work. This is the big problem that we have with the liberal media, though. They took to be absolute truth, the rhetoric.
Right.
And they built whole, empires of thought around rhetoric.
Right.
And now we have this small clip that should have been just simply nothing on the grand scheme, and they're melting down. Why is Obama talking to Hitler? What's going on, Obama? What has Hitler said? It's so funny. They did a whole show about it.
But like Sonny and all of them, they're feeling that they might become irrelevant very soon.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Their days are numbered.
This is their leader who is now buddy with Trump, who everyone's supposed to hate and who's supposed to be Hitler, and they're realizing that what is going to happen to us now?
Right, because they believed it.
Right. Exactly.
We all conservatives were like, hey, this is not, first off, it's not right to compare him to Hitler or dictators because he's not. And we said, secondly, they're lying to you guys. This is a grift. They're trying to use emotionalism. They're trying to use fear to kind of get you to vote for this a certain way. And nobody believed this. And Sonny Hostin and the Hens of The View were continuing to push this grift. And so when people start to realize what it was, that's when their walls will start coming down. So
they're worried.
Of course they
I
are.
hope so.
About their career.
The truth of the matter is, if they wanted to save their careers, if they really and truly wanted to do something to kind of cement their position on whatever happens with their station, one of them, Sonny or Whoopi, should just come out and say, you know what, Trump's not that bad. Now, as heads explode across the table,
Whoopi already knows that.
Whoopi knows it.
All they have to do, just give an inch.
Yeah.
Just give an inch, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to do it.
No, they're not.
They're buried too deep in it.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of that, Biden, we can see what Biden is doing. So he still has a couple of days, as Shelley said. We are all anticipating Trump's inauguration, but Biden's still president technically as of right now, and he's doing everything he can to work against America. So we all know that President Trump was pushing this mass deportations of illegals in the country. So Biden has just announced sweeping deportation shield for nearly 1 million illegals. The New York Post reports the Biden administration announced Friday that nearly 1 million migrants from Sudan, Ukraine, El Salvador, and Venezuela, a breeding ground for members of the vicious gang Tren de Aragua, will be able to stay in the United States for the next year and a half, dealing a blow to President Donald Trump's hardline immigration agenda. Folks, I want to get you guys' thoughts on this. Please sound off in the chat and send those super chats. We want to hear what you think about this. I want to acknowledge another super chat here. All right, let's see who we have. All right, we have Laura.
Hi, Laura.
Says, I live in Cleveland, Ohio. No issues, thank God.
Yes,
for
thank God.
right now, but we hope that's the case.
Yeah.
And
stays
that
the
way.
case,
Yeah.
right? But what do you think of this new legislation, Shelley?
So the good, I guess, and the bad thing is that for every new administration, the president does have the authority, I guess, to write or rescind executive orders. So I know President Trump is going to do that. The challenge is that why I believe Biden did this, because he knows that some of those bad guys, the illegals will latch on to some American lawyer who's going to hem them up in court, right? All of these different court cases, things like that. But at the same time, Biden did this. This is just another proof, if you will, of his hate for our country. He did the Soros Medal of Honor a few weeks ago or whatever, Medal of Freedom, I think it is. So this is just another step. He's showing us what he really hates, how he hates America and Americans. He doesn't give a damn. He's going to be somewhere in the beach in Delaware or wherever else he travels, Ghana, wherever. And Americans are going to have to be fighting these battles. Again, we are 9 days away from making America great again. Making America great again starts officially on the 20th of January, but we still have a lot of work to keep making it happen and making that greatness appear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that program, Nicole?
It's a temporary stay, right? So they do that quite often in immigration circles. If there's a credible threat of violence where like there's a genocide, they're trying to wipe out a whole race of people, that kind of thing. But I have a little different take, Shelley. Joe Biden doesn't know any of this is happening. He has no idea. This is his staff. And because when you take a look at these last minute legislative things, they're talking about giving a pardon to Marcus Garvey. So there's a brother in the back that's like Stewie. You know what I mean? Like, so these are the little factions of his staff that are getting their Christmas list, their wish list, what they can do. A couple of 20 billion more dollars to the Ukraine. So they have a checklist of what they wanted to do. The president is simply a rubber stamp at this point, and
he's literally a rubber stamp.
Unfortunately, I think he's been a rubber stamp for several years. But what's going to happen is what we need is not another executive order addressing immigration. We need legislation. And as much as it pained me for Johnson to stay Speaker of the House, because y'all know how I feel.
I know.
I've made it perfectly.
Like him. I liked him.
Not like him. However, the thing that made me feel pretty good about it was that everybody voted for him. So they're all on one page. They're all singing from the same hymnal. Maybe we can get some really good immigration legislation that's going to stop all of these temporary stays, and you don't have to show up at a port of entry. You just use the app and just roll into the United States. We have to have something from our legislators that put some laws on the book that we can use for now. We can no longer continue to live under immigration policy from the 60s. We've got to get things started.
That's a great point. Yana, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I agree totally that Biden does not know what's going on. Someone else is doing it for him. And this is a strategy that they have. So these people, they have a temporary stay. Like Shelley, you said, they will be applying for permanent residency. And in about for the next election, a lot of them might be ready for citizenship. And so, of course, these people will be very grateful to a Democrat administration who let them stay in America. So who are they going to vote for in the next election?
Right.
Yeah.
This is forward looking. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, just in time for the House races, because a lot of the House is going to be up for election.
Exactly.
But here's the thing: they did the same thing with the Haitian migration people. Well, the illegals that came from Haiti, that were invited to come from Haiti. The difference being that they were being killed en masse, right? Here's the problem that they had. They had 18 months starting, I think, last August. Their time is up.
Oh, wow.
Their time is up. And there's no more going to the app and pressing the button so you can continue to stay in America. There was a case, I think it was in Massachusetts, where this governor was like, oh no, I'll stand up, I'll fight, I'll throw myself in front of the moving bus for these people. And here we are a few months later, probably a month and a half later, there's a guy dealing drugs out of the shelter.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Heavy armory, $1 million in cash inside this shelter.
And that didn't just happen overnight.
Of course not. You know how long it takes, but what makes me so sad is these are people who live in these areas who may not share their very liberal beliefs that are going to have to deal with these people. Because what happens when Tom Homan and ICE go out and start rounding them up from red states? Because the red states are going to give them up like pets. We're like, that one, her over here, that guy over there. We're giving them up. People are going to run to blue states where it's safe, quote unquote safe.
Right.
That's what's already happening. Where they were saying in Ohio, the Haitians are leaving. They're packing it up and going to where they're quote unquote welcome.
Oh yeah, that's what it is, and we see it now. Trinidad and Tobago, for instance, is the southernmost Caribbean island, and they border Venezuela. And right now, they just declared a state of emergency because crime has gone out, skyrocketed. They've never seen this type of crime before. And what they're finding is a lot of the crime is happening from these Venezuela illegals that are coming over. And they are not messing around. These people are killing people by beheading, or they'll put a bag over their head and shoot them in the back of the head. I mean, it is crazy. And areas, many of these people a lot of the crime is happening in the north. And then what they're doing then is, if they're not, these criminals or illegals are then fleeing to the south and rural areas to hide, like you mentioned,
to hide out.
So, I mean, it is devastating. It's devastating over there right now. And my heart goes out to the people of Trinidad and Tobago because they don't deserve this.
It's a little place too. I mean, it's too small for people to be chopping.
Exactly. And they're not used to this type of crime.
And they're not, they don't have the infrastructure to protect their people.
Right.
And that's what's going to happen in these blue states. This is already what's happening in Massachusetts. They don't have the infrastructure to protect the citizenry. What's going to happen when you get 200 million more people? Because once ICE starts chasing them, they're going to run.
Right.
They're going to run to where someone says, unfortunately, here in Baltimore City, unfortunately, Montgomery County, and here in Maryland, oh, they can stay here as long as they want. And what happens when you're overrun?
Well, they can't run to Martha's Vineyard.
That's for certain. They certainly can't go nowhere where Obama got a house.
Right.
Exactly. Let's draw that hard line.
Right.
But I think it's going to be a test of what these people who live in deep blue states are willing to tolerate.
Right.
What are they going to be willing to tolerate?
And unfortunately, how many people might die?
Yes, or how many people are going to be assaulted, raped, beaten, killed?
And when will Democrats understand how many deaths we need to have caused by illegal aliens for Democrats to understand?
Absolutely. Well, I want to. I think we have some super chats here. I want to acknowledge. I'm not sure. Do we have a super chatter here to acknowledge? All right. Okay. No. Okay, guys, get those super chats up and please continue to like, share, and subscribe.
And don't forget the merchandise.
So. Right.
Don't forget the merchandise. PoppinPoliticsLive.com and shop until your heart is content.
Absolutely.
Yep. We love your comments in general. We read them after the show too.
Absolutely.
So keep commenting and hitting the like button and sharing, please.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I want to move to this story. This is actually one of my favorite stories of the week. Notre Dame head coach. So Notre Dame, following Notre Dame's 27-24 victory over Penn State, head coach Marcus Freeman was interviewed. The interviewer highlighted the historic nature of the game, noting that it was the first college football playoff semifinal featuring two Black head coaches, and that Freeman's win made him the first Black and Asian head coach to reach the FBS National Championship game. Take a look at his response. This is clip 3.
Because you are the first Black head coach to go to a national championship game in college football.
Congratulations.
Just hearing that response alone, how much does this mean to you?
You know, I've said this before. I don't ever want to take attention away from the team. It is an honor, and I hope all coaches, minorities, Black, Asian, white, it doesn't matter, great people continue to get opportunities to lead young men like this. But this ain't about me, this is about us. And we're gonna celebrate what we've done because it's something special.
All right. So, Shelley, was that an appropriate response, or should he have really taken hold of I'm the first Black coach to do this?
No, he said it's a team. He's a coach because he has a team and vice versa. So why not? It's not about him. He's honoring his team. He's going to represent his team. But I love his response. I mean, he even said it's not about me. You know, there are many people, white, Black, Asian, that can mentor young men and young women too. And what difference does the color make? I know plenty of, and I'm just using this for this example, I know plenty of white people who absolutely pour their hearts into mentoring some young Black children, particularly impoverished children. They love these children. They see them grow up. They mentor them. They teach them. They take them out on different outings, things like that. And it's not just that I'm doing this for show. No, because the white people who are doing this, they're not necessarily wealthy. They're not necessarily, citizens and whatever up on some high pedestal. No, but they sacrifice because they love these children. That coach reminds me of those kinds of people. And he said it himself. It doesn't matter. What matters is, do you care about the people, your team, the people that you're mentoring? It's a we, not just a me.
Nicole, did he miss an opportunity to say that, I'm Black and, this is what people need to see? Well, did he miss an opportunity to kind of not mansplain, but black-splain?
No, because anyone with eyes can tell he's black, right? Right. So this again is changing the culture of America. Absolutely changing the culture of America. A year ago, he would have, oh yeah, I'm the first black man, the first Blasian, the first this, the first that. Does that really make a difference? Does it make the win any sweeter? The black coach who lost, is he less of a black man because he lost? Exactly. I mean, like, what's the parameter? The amount of melanin you have in your skin, there are lots of benefits to, but it doesn't make you a better coach. It doesn't make you a better mentor or a worse coach or a worse mentor. We suntan different. I'll say that. I go to Bermuda and get nice and, crispy on the edges. It's a beautiful thing. It does not change who I am as a human being. And we are moving away from that. And I was glad to hear him say that in front of these impressionable minds who are looking up to him. It would have been easy for him to get all his black players behind him and hoot and holler and carry on. I thought he handled it with class, with grace, and with dignity. And I think when you see the clip and the reporter puts her head down, she knew she was dead wrong for asking the question.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you, Yana. Have we gotten past this idea of these reporters and the media always focusing on race? Or, was she wrong to even mention that?
Yes, absolutely she was wrong. But she was told to ask that question.
Exactly.
Yeah. She was supposed to ask that question, and she didn't like the response. And maybe, I don't know, she was getting something in her ear, like, okay, and this, don't ask another question.
I wonder
like
what
this.
the follow-up question was supposed to be.
Right, exactly. So it probably, like, she's listening. She's like, oh, there's no follow-up. Do not ask the follow-up question. And it was a beautiful response. I loved that.
I wish he could have. I would have to see the whole thing, but I wish he could have said to her, "Why are you demeaning me like that?
Right? They're trying to make me small.
Demeaning my team and their skill, their competition, their competitive spirit. Why are you demeaning me like that by focusing on my color?"
Do you know what's interesting, though? The people who scream the loudest about being progressive and progress, now that we've progressed away from you have to put a color on everything, a sex or a gender on everything. Since we're walking away from that, why are they still back in the past trying to hang on to foolishness?
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like, it's so absolutely, it's mind control, and young people are so susceptible to that. It's so unfortunate that now children, see each other as, oh, we're black, white. They're hyper vigilant of this concept now, and that goes against American values.
Right.
And what actually, well, the movements previously wanted us to be like. They didn't want someone to highlight someone's race, because now how does that affect young white men who also want to rise up to these levels, that somehow their race is less important, and race in general should not be something like something that's highlighted.
Right. It's not a qualifying factor.
It should be your skill, your determination, your character, and these are such the concepts that are so clear that I'm so amazed that people are still hanging on to race.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, personally, I don't mind if people not so much acknowledge, but you see the race. That's fine. But the issue I have is now we have equated race to actual characteristics and actions and qualifiers for different things. And that's where we've gone down the wrong way. I mean, he's a great coach. And another thing, he's mixed. He's mixed, so they just totally discounted his Asian
told him he was black.
Part. Right. They just going to assign him black. What she should have said is, Coach, you are awful handsome. My goodness, you're a hottie. What does it feel like being the first hottie coach to win? You know what I mean? Exactly. He probably would have blushed 3 different shades of red and would have gotten a much better, more positive response from him and the team. But when they set out to set us apart from one another, right? Looking at the cup, when they set out to divide us, and they do it so quickly.
I'm so like Yana. I thought the same thing. I said she was told that, Yana, because I thought that because her she didn't seem comfortable asking that. Right. Like she didn't seem like she some reporters that you can tell they kind of enjoy what they're doing or whatever the moment may be. She just didn't seem like she was enjoying that particular moment asking that question.
I think a lot of people hate that question, asking that question. And I think most people understand that this whole race agenda has been pushed too much. And I know she's like cringing probably on the inside, but she has to ask that question because her DEI, managers want her to do that.
Well, we will continue to follow all of these topics and more. We will be back on Monday. We'll be back Monday live. So definitely come back and check us out at 9 p.m. Guys, we also have other broadcasts here on the Metro Conservative Media Productions. We have Just the Guys, which just premiered. So you can go back and check out their channel. Had a great story on there. We also have the All American Talk Show, which had a brilliant program this week on the terror attacks going on in Las Vegas and New Orleans. Check it out. And I have my KJ Christian Conservative YouTube channel. So please check out all of these channels, like the videos, and subscribe. Again, that does push our voice up on YouTube, and we appreciate the support. All right, that does it for us tonight. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night.
Bye.